Welcome back, everybody, to Blood Rush League Season 2. We're in the losers bracket where we'll be seeing Malevolent versus Genesis, where we have the Demogorgon, which is Genesis's pick on the Father Campbell's Chapel. Now, looking at the perks that we brought in, we have a Corrupt Intervention working nicely at the moment, blocking these 3 generators topside around the 3 gen, as we see scratch marks topside actually. So our Fang does have to drop the short wall jungle gym pallet early. And will we see if the Demogorgon can capitalize on this? But no, I think our Fang just managed to hold W away from that. So managing to unzone herself and now has a pallet gym available to play. And we'll just be running topside into the Carnival, which we all know is a strong. Oh my gosh, what a crouch tech! That was a beautiful crouch tech there, but does take a hit anyway since they are zoned away from pretty much every pallet in that area. So they'll be running the main building now, which seems to be the very strong main building. Our demo has not brought in Bamboozle, but has instead brought in Blood Vapor, which will actually get a lot of value. Perhaps that was oh, I was going to say, perhaps there's some reason that the Fang decided to run away from Carnival, but it was unknown at that point that Blood Vapor was actually in play, as Claudette does now take an M1 to an M1 as they run to Shack. I think that was a live pop there. That was um, a pretty fast running speed after the vault. And actually, it's this. The demo decides to leave this. I think this is quite strange because usually you just want to commit to any injured survivor, especially in an area of the map where the generators are being worked. As the demo actually does go for a pre-shred on, I think, Nia here. We did see the Claudette also as well around Shack, and a bit of a greedy vault from Nia coming in. And actually, our demo will be beating the Nia because seeing the Claudette run away will mean that they're just in an optimal position to be shredded, which is the case because there's a 4 lane there, not a jungle gym. So our Nia will be actually taking the chase because our demo is deciding to slug as our Nia double vaults the window. A bit risky play there, but oh my gosh, when we see a third survivor now, this is on healthy Nancy, which I believe has a flashlight. So perhaps going for no, actually it's empty-handed. So we'll be taking another M1. This is the fourth injury of the trial, and he's still yet to pick up any survivor. So I'm really confused as to why the survivors are playing like this. Actually, this Nia is the one with the flashlight and is going down to shred again. And as this chase is going on, we'll be seeing the pick up onto the Claudette on the 4 lane. Um, as yeah, our demo does get a first down onto Nia, and presumably will be taking them towards a pain resonance hook. Yeah, these high progress generators on the bottom side of the map around Shack. So we know that the 2 survivors around here, perhaps they were resetting, but seems now not to be the case since the demo did hook the survivor around this area. So they'll have to pre-leave because demo is not really that strong of a killer. So the perks allowed versus demo will not allow them to get a heal off in time before the demo would interrupt them. But our first generator does pop. I believe that was a main generator. So that's a nice one to get out of the way for our survivors because it can be a bit problematic later on. It can be part of a few 3 gen setups, which might make it a bit difficult for them to complete. As we head over towards our next tile here, which is a pallet gym, but unfortunately, maybe a bit of uh, miscom there from the survivors because they should probably been able to save the health states there. But Nancy going down over on the tile will mean that another pain res could potentially be hitting these generators, which does seem to be the case. We saw the sparks fly from the closed generator. So it will be the second hook of the trial, 1 generator done. So yeah, the generator that was popped again, that was a main generator, does still mean that there are kind of two kind of loose 3 gens. You have one in the bottom side of the map where we have 5, 7, and around 9. There's also the top side 3 gen which was corrupted earlier. But we'll be trying to look for the survivors bottom side because they actually did manage to reset the Nia somewhere. So our demo again is quite convinced that there's someone here, and I would actually tend to agree with them. Probably there's someone bottom side, but it's kind of a bit of a fruitless adventure because they've just not found anyone over this period of time. So they'll just be heading back to Hook, see if they can secure the second stage on the Nancy. So no doubt this other survivors will just be pumping out generators at this point. and I'll be expecting to see at least one of them pop for the time that this Nancy is hanging on the hook, because they'll just be hitting second stage, and as soon as that happens, I would assume the demo would leave. It's a bit risky to camp until death. Pretty much in any comp game, that's the case. Because if you were to do so, then there's a potential of multiple generators popping, that they're triple splitting, and then that would mean that they would potentially get out at that point. As we do see the deep side carnival generator pop, and also, oh my gosh, that was a really that was a really confident vault on the 4 lane from our Feng. Actually, a beautiful crouch check there as well. Manages to avoid another shred. I believe that's just the second crouch check that that this Feng has made in the course of this game, avoiding twice. That's actually quite huge. And we did see as well the Shack generator, or the generator Deep 7 pop as well for that time. And I would have assumed that the demo would head back to the hook. I don't really know what's going on here, because they saw the unhook happen. I also saw the gen pop, so they'd have to know that the Nancy's probably resetting around Shack with the other survivor. That does seem to be the case, because we did see scratch marks leading towards Shack here, which I think the demo will commit, because one of these survivors is probably Nancy. Although there's no blood, one of them's got to be Nancy, right? Yeah, and we do spot healthy Nia, actually. Healthy Nia running Shack, and does manage to make the vault this time. So that was a justified greed, I guess, and our Demo Gorgon will decide to leave without the tag being applied to Nia. But actually, if we do look here, that the Claudette was reset in the distance, but not our Nancy. So our Nancy's nowhere to be found, but we'll have to be stealthing somewhere, which I would guess would be Shack, because the reset does happen onto them as soon as the chase on Nia ended. So our demo is probably in a bad position, I would say, right as of right now, because they have a death hook survivor and only one other survivor with one hook. So there's no real tunnel out that you can make at this point in the game and then try and defend a 3-gen. Especially looking at the perks, the perks are very has of perks, and also we see the Fang deciding to go in to try and take a hit for the Claudette so they can get away, perhaps going for an adrenaline play, which does seem to be the case, as the Fang is the adrenaline player. So getting the stun on the demo, getting hit through it is not really a big deal. But actually, our Fang decides to run onto the field here. Perhaps it's a balanced landing being applied, but I don't think balanced landing would be allowed versus our Demogorgon. And our Fang actually just completely jukes our killer here, which is trying to play for the Noed. And also does not vault the window. Very good patience from Fang. This is actually quite a god window, especially with that bamboozle, which our Demogorgon does have. And actually, our Fang does not make it anywhere, because we have the haste from the No One Escapes Death taking that extra speed boost, which will allow the M1 down to occur, and the hook to be taken onto a Feng, which is fresh. So if Feng was to be camped out, that would be a 6 stages result from our Genesis killer here on the Father Campbell's Chapel. And I think if they just won't be able to find Noed at this point, then I think they'll just have to take the 3-man out, which does seem to be the case, because Claudette opens the gate and leaves, and we see all other 3 survivors leaving. So 6 stages performance against the Demogorgon, quite solid performance, and we'll have to see what our Malevolence Killer can do against our Genesis Survivor set, seeing if they can meet a 6-stage win condition after we go for a short intermission. Welcome back, everybody, to the second demo game of our Losers Bracket of Blood Rush League Season 2. We'll be seeing Malevolence Killer versus Genesis Survivors trying to go for a 6-stage tie condition, and any more would mean a win for the Killer. Now, 3 fresh hooks available for the Killer to take to meet the tie condition, but if not, then it will be a win or loss depending on how the other fresh hooks go. You see how Rebecca taking the first chase around Shack at the start of the game. This is in the co-op side. So we'll be also seeing a jungle gym here actually being able to make the pallet. I'm not sure if the demo shred a bit early would have been able to make the shred on the jungle gym pallet, but actually this will be a clean 2-tap on the demo, because our demo Momo just manages to use the was it Bubs? No, the Black Heart, in order to get a reduced cooldown from the shred to to get the second shred on Rebecca, who will be hooked at main and okay, I was going to say perhaps there's a hook bug, but takes a pain resonance on the main generator. This is actually quite a nice hook to get because it's in the middle of the map, meaning that you can apply pressure to generators pretty much anywhere. So a demo will take the portal, which is a pretty decent portal to have in a 3-gen setup, as we'll just be looking around to push other survivors off generators and try and prevent the unhook from going onto the Rebecca. I'm going to assume that they teleport right back, which is indeed the case. If we look at the build of our Demogorgon, we actually do see the Noid as well, and the Pain Resonance, as well as, of course, stock standard Corrupt, which is brought on pretty much every killer. But our main difference here is that we do not have a Blood Favor, but instead we have a Bamboozle. Maybe the understanding that the main building vault spawns can be quite random and powerful. As we saw in the last game, there was a God window that spawned in the main building. So the Demogorgon with Bamboozle will be able to shut that off in this trial. So it seems like our Rebecca here is about to hit the second stage on the hook at main. So no generator has been completed for this. So it is a bit rough. Now, we did see the other game, our Claudette, no, our Nancy was the survivor who went to second stage. And at that point, already 2 generators had been completed for it. And as I say that, 1 generator has been completed for a second stage, and 1 is around 50 to 60%. Actually, we see our Ellie here taking maybe, oh my gosh, what a 2-tap from our Demogorgon. Again, the 2. Oh my god, I don't know what to say. This is just going horrible for the survivors now, actually. Since Elodie just got 2-tapped in the open near the hook, and no one will be able to get safe. Oh my gosh. This is just becoming messy now. Fortunately, Demogorgon does miss a shred. I'm not sure if the crash deck happened there, but Ace does manage to dodge that, which is big for the survivors, but probably not big enough. Remember, the win condition for our survivors is getting 5 stages out of the door. If they manage to do that, then they would win the set. But with a survivor dead very soon on the main hook, and only one more generator done for this, I'm not sure if they'll be able to do this. Now, Demogorgon is, again, not one of the stronger killers, so he still should be able to hold any kind of 3-gen against a 3v1 quite solidly, especially with the pain resonance. As we go into chase with our Felix, who's on a nice jungle gym tile. Actually, wait, I think this is a bit of a bug here. Now, I've scrimmed this map a few times, and knowing this map, I know the tile structures for this map are a 4-lane spawns around where that gen did, where the Felix was taking chase, but then also a jungle gym should spawn on the other spot, wherever the near shack, the tile near there, which is, I believe the call out is 7. So if you were to have a jungle gym spawn at 7, you should not have a jungle gym spawn at 2 as well. But it seems that the survivors managed to get 2 jungle gyms, which is fortunate for them, I guess. And our Demogorgon will be doing a bit of a momentum tech to force the pallet out of Ace on the Carnival side. Now, he is the only healthy survivor, so if we do get an injury here, which, Ace does greed this pallet. I'm not sure if I agree with this. Because, again, you want to try and preserve the health stage. It doesn't really matter how many, oh my god, what just happened? I think the Ace just completely juked our Demogorgon here, taking a bit of a chance and breaking LOS because our demo was hiding the red stain, so it wasn't able to. Oh my god, I was gonna say wasn't able to get an M1 onto him, but does get 2 M1 on this Rockville here because the demo swung through at first and decides to slug. I guess decides to slug because this generator here has got four of its bars pumping, so it means it's around 80%. And our Demogorgon, again, just kicking gens, dry kicking, because there's no eruption in play, just to get some regression before I would assume he goes back to the Carnival side to get the pickup on the Survivor. And so the Painters should be pretty huge here. If they do pick up here... Come on. Pick up, come on. Okay, so Momo will not be picking up, but does manage to do another momentum tech, keeping... Oh my gosh. Keeping a health save for the time being, but does take a M1 because there's not enough distance. Momo did successfully block the pallet for just enough time, as we see Felix Victor take the pickup onto our ace. So I'm not really sure again what they were trying to do with the slugging there, but it did seem to work out. We got pretty much 2 health states out of the survivors for this. 2 health state trade and a few kicks on the generators. So I think, yeah, all in all, it did work out for our demo here. But again, playing for the win condition, which is 7 stages for our demo golden, they can pretty much do anything here and be in a good position to keep the momentum going, because at this moment he's got the 4th hook, or they've got the 4th hook on the board. Only 2 more required to meet a Tycon if they want separate, and so really finding the Elodie at main as well will probably be a quick chase here since she is injured. Going for max shred on the TL wall and hitting it as well. So just going to pick here, taking a pain resonance perhaps, and also getting the 5th hook of the trial if this were to indeed be a hook. And yes, actually going to go up into main, since now after the patch from I believe 2 months ago, hooks do respawn after death, and that was indeed a pain resonance. We saw the main generator take the pain resonance hit there, and a TP back as well, as you see some blood, and also a Felix working this generator here, which has been entity spiked, so not really much more to not many more gen kick what do you call it? Gen kick actions left on the generator. But Felix Victor will use his life here to make his way to the TL wall, but getting max shredded again like our Elodie. This is next to our main hook here, so this is just quite dire for our survivors. I don't even think they'll be able to get another generator done here. So it would look like a 4K3 result, which does seem to be the case, because our Ace Visconti here will just be found on the generator trying to get it done, but it just won't be sufficient enough. So I think we'll be looking at a clean 4K3 as we go into our final chase on the Ace. Of course, being demo, we will not be allowed to take any strong anti-tunnel or anti-slug perks. So no unbreakable on our Felix will happen. So it'll just be a clean 4K3. Now, solid performance by our Malevolent killer here, because they managed to get, I believe Demo's average results on this map would be around the same amount that Malevolent's survivors managed to get out of their survivor game, which is around 6 stages. So they've just completely destroyed Genesis here, getting a 4K3 on our Father Campbell's Chapel. And so it'll be 1-up Malevolent versus Genesis as we head into our next set, which will be Nurse, actually. We'll be playing another Nurse on Sanctum of Wrath in our next match. If we take a quick intermission right now, we'll be back to that in just a short while. Welcome back, everybody, to our losers bracket of Blood Rush League Season 2. Now, actually, we'll be starting the game with with a down on the edge map. Now, what's happened is that the spectator did manage to get a bit of corruption, or like had to do something. So our first minute or so has been cut out of the recording, since it was on a survivor POV by default from the start of the game. So we'll be seeing the first down happen on the edge map of the Sanctum of Wrath 1. Now, Sanctum of Wrath 1 is a pretty, I would say, pretty chokehold map. Usually on the Sanctum, you'd want to try and hold a chokehold, a choke point on whatever bottom side or top side, and try and prevent survivors from crossing out of the corrupt intervention into the generator setup. But of course, since that's already happened, we will see a first generator pop for all this time. Now, taking stock of the situation, our Nurse actually has leverage. Can you believe that leverage will be seen in a comp game in 2024? Now, I guess it is understandable that leverage is used, because it will deny perks like Will Make It from being activated if the Nurse is far away enough. They will be able to prevent the reset with a 50% slowdown. Because of this, our Nurse does manage to get a down onto Azavina. This is second down of the trial. So we're looking at a second hook for Zavina. We saw medkit on them. So presumably they are actually our Deliverance survivor, if the survivors are playing predictably, but of course that might not be the case. So Nurse, now just checking around for the second survivor, which was our Lava getting the unhook in that scenario. So checking around for them, and then we'll decide to leave back to main. Looking at the other perks that our Nurse has brought, we see the stock standard Corrupt Intervention and the Ruin and Eruption as well. Popular combo on the S tier killers, and even on killers that can make use out of the ruin very nicely. As we see the unhook happen onto his arena, corner of the map. Well, perhaps leverage here would help a very lot because they would not be able to get a reset in time, even through a will make it stack. And we see blood. So this is Azarina, a running edge map. No anti-tunnel available for them, so they'll just be going down immediately on the corner of the map as we see the next generator pop. So we'll be looking at I was gonna say we're gonna be looking at a 3v1 going we'll be going into a 3v1 with three generators left, but that one pops. So 3v1 with two generators left, and let's see if our 3 gen setup is quite good because we had 3 gens here, and also the main generator which has not popped yet. So this will actually be a 4 gen on. I believe this is the top side of the map, so this is quite rough for the survivors. I would say that in this scenario you need to head towards Shack where the gens are completely unprogressed, and you'd need to try and get a reset off onto the injured survivor. Then you'd also need to try and take stock of the exhaustion perks in use. So if I were the survivors, I'd be trying to get the overcome player, as long as they're not, of course, they want dead, the overcome player or the spin burst player on these deep generators, while they'd want to try and get the balanced player on the main generator, since that is, of course, the optimal perk that you'd want on a main building. But we do see the reset happen onto our Venato here as our survivors enter this 3v1. We did see some crows fly off actually, and some crows reset. So nice awareness of the killer to spot that, and does find the Venato running into our 3 gen setup, but does actually take some interesting pathing going back to Shack, which is of course the correct play, but Unus didn't actually spot that in time, but still manages to get the max first blink hit onto our Venato here. So this will, I believe, be quite a quick chase to Venato as he decides to run the Z wall and take the down just right next to Shack, which is the optimal death spot. But it was actually quite soon after the reset happened. So I would not expect to see much generated progress available for the survivors to work with. Now Nurse does take somewhat mid hook here. I would say top bottom mid hook. Trying to get the Venato back into the 3 gen setup if possible, which of course would be ideal for the Nurse if they could, but take the next best hook and we'll be bottom mid. So they'll just be checking the 3 gen setup yet again, and Nurse main was on nothing, which is expected because they can't pressure that when there's a hook right there. But we did see a crow land back on this tile. So someone is around here stealthing, most probably, and it's up to the nurse to see if they can find them. A bit of leverage value coming in as well as, oh my god, Ace is actually the spin burst survivor, and managing to spin burst away from the nurse blink is huge because if they manage to take an M1 there, they'll go down very quickly and not be able to make the top side. But because that was not the case, and the spin burst was used to avoid the swing, they do manage to get a reset as well onto Venato. And the nurse decides to leave, seeing the reset and also seeing the survivor running off in the distance. And we'll be charging the blink to just head straight there to get information about where the survivors are. Bit of leverage value coming in as well. But Venato does run back up into the back into the nurse, which I don't think was the correct decision. Venato, you pretty sure the Venato had lied, so not being able to make a window anyway means that he'll just go back onto the hook. And for what though? At what cost? Because our ace, probably the survivors are trying to rotate back, and if anything, the ace is the one on that generator with around 40% progress, which is being hit by Ruin this entire time. And Lara is the one getting the save, so really could not be doing much during this time. And of course, with Ruin on the board, even if they were working a generator, it would start to aggress during this time. And of course, that was the Lara Croft getting the save. I'll be surprised if it was not. And actually, our nurse deciding to leave the chase onto Renato, trying to find the unhooking survivor, and actually not being able to find them. So Renato will be stuck by himself around the shack side as we see the ruined sparks fly up off the generator, which I believe is Ace. Of course, he's probably stealthing and walking around with his fixated or spin burst if he has both. Um, but he'll be around here somewhere. We can see him crouching actually next to the pallet. Good stealth by him. This is the the time waste that these survivors need. We see the spin burst now activate on the ace and our nurse taking an M1 tag even through the spin burst because he was too close for that to be pretty much be avoided. But our nurse does short blink here. The object geometry does mean that the blink does not completely charge through that wall there. So he is managing to dodge a blink. Does mean that he manages to get outside of the 3/4 gen setup, and this is actually pretty big for the survivors. If he got hooked or even down in the 4 gen setup, it would be quite horrible. Wound would be completely decimating that generator in the corner, and as our survivors are probably resetting still, I would assume so because they did meet up around Shack to reset like a minute ago, but I mean, I guess they haven't. So it's just now a question of where are they? What are they doing? And it seems like our lava has been caught out rotating up to the wow. I was gonna say up to the top side of the map, but I think it's the bottom side. Anyway, down to the non-shack area of the map to try and get pressure on the generators. But oh my gosh, wait, what was that? Oh, actually, I'm not entirely sure. I think that was actually a nurse add-on. That was a bad man's tooth or something, which would show you the aura of survivors healing within 28 meters or 24 meters of you after you hit them with the blink attack, I believe. And Venato does dead hard as well on the top side. And since he's death on Hulk, we'll just be seeing a pickup and a kill onto him. See a flashlight save. Oh my gosh, but it was not close enough because uh, it misses. So Renato will be dead here, and really that was the ace probably going for the flashlight save. So Alawa is the only one who'd possibly be able to be working gens, and I don't think there would be enough time to pop a generator. So heading into this 2v1 with 2 gens left with an active ruin, I think it would be impossible for the survivors to get another generator done. We did see sparks starting to fly off this edge generator here, so I think our lava would be close. And our nurse is smelling that there is someone here. They are checking edge map, but our crows are not giving enough information to confirm that someone was here quite recently. So they'll decide to perhaps leave, which does seem to be the case. They do leave and try and go for this generator, which is the one with more progress. And actually, no, they decide to go back to main and just hold the choke point, perhaps check on this generator. They know that one person is in the 4 gen setup working the generator, and they did see the other survivor around Shack trying to get a flashlight save. But they did confirm the position right now that it is the Lara Croft over here, trying to waste as much time as possible for perhaps the ace to get the last generator done. But Nurse has good awareness here, just managing to blink back to the high progress generator, which again, with ruins still available, really don't think it's possible that they get another generator done in this situation. Since the nurse knows that they're working this gen, they'll just blink there and then just start pressuring the ace off. Doesn't really matter where he is, as long as this ace is found. This lava can't really do anything at the moment because she's injured. She'll make a lot of noise. She'll leave blood. So if she goes down anyway, it's really not much of a case. Oh my gosh. And checking the locker as well and immediately finding Ace in the locker. This will just secure what seems to be a 4K2 as Ace goes onto the hook, I would guess, or not. Okay, dragging Ace into the open before dropping him, just looking for the lava, who's probably stealthing up edge, up shack side, I mean. Stealthing shack side, um, maybe waiting for hatch or anything, but this lava is not to be found yet. So we'll be seeing how long it takes for our killer, which is Momo actually. So I've forgotten to mention a lot of things. There's a lot going on, but Momo, it was our killer from last game as well for Malevolent, managing to pull a solid performance. But unbreakable on our ace here, meaning that he's probably deliverance as well. So knocking ace was probably the best course of action here from our nurse because we've seen a spin burst and an unbreakable from them, so it's not unlikely that there is a deliverance as well on the ace. So I'd most likely assume that was an unbreakable, but the lava was not also stealthing here because that would have been extremely fast rotation for lava to get to the pickup in time. But we'll see scratch marks here. It doesn't really matter who this is, as any survivor at this point is better than no survivor, and we'll be tracking the blood, seeing the ace yet again, just catching him, trying to stealth edge map. but actually managing to avoid the double blink there because our nurse kind of has been duped by this ace a little bit with the spin burst. So not coming to the blink there, but does manage to get a nice short blink and down onto the ace, which of course will slug again, looking for the lava. The last survivor yet again was smashed into the previous situation. However, of course, the ruin will just be decimating the gens, and if Ace had Unbreakable, he surely does not have it anymore. So I think it'll be looking like a clean 4K2. Again, Lala can't really be doing anything at this moment, so it will just be a matter of time before our Lala is found, which does seem to be the case if I'm not mistaken, because Lala just was seen on this Edgemap jungle gym, but actually our nurse again gets destroyed by nurse physics because does not manage to blink through that wall here, and our Lala will be using. I believe that was live, but I don't know anymore because our nurse will just be waiting everything out, everything and anything out, and getting secure 4K2 on our Sanctum of Wrath. It's just up actually now up to Ace to see if he can perhaps get Hatch because he is possible that he is the Deliverance survivor. Um, and with Spin Burst, it's not completely impossible to get Hatch in this scenario, but I don't know. 4K2 result anyway. But again, we'll have to see if the ace can uh, get a hatch escape. Pick up does occur onto the ace, and Arnez will hook him, not really mid-map, just in this corner here, maybe expecting a deliverance play. And actually just swinging the gen, and yeah, it would actually just be the end of the game, it seems like. No deliverance will be activated. So it will be a 4K2 for Malevolent's killer, and we'll be seeing after a short intermission if Genesis can keep their game going and achieve a 4K2 result or better after a short intermission. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, everybody, to Blood Rush League Season 2. We're in our losers bracket yet again, where we have Genesis versus Malevolent. Now, this is Malevolent's pick on the Nurse on Sanctum of Wrath 1. However, Genesis Killer is looking to get a 4K3 result or better to achieve a win against the Nurse. As we see our first chase taking place onto our ace on this edge map, but actually managing to miss a double blink onto the ace. So a little bit of time wasted there, as the ace will manage to make probably deep map uh, the deeper parts of this map if possible. But oh my gosh, just maybe losing the ace. I'm not sure if that was lucky break or not. And instead finding Nancy, who has a medkit here and stealthing edge map. So I'd assume it's a deliverance player. But again, Nancy does manage to juke the blink here, even though this is the few jukes and injuries avoided. Uh, there's still 2 injuries applied onto our survivors. So it's still not a completely lost start for our nurse as the Nancy does go down. So nice blink there to secure Matt. We'll just be getting a hook. And oh, it'll just be the hook right here. Maybe they would not be able to make any other hook, but again, our nurse will just be looking for the choke point and actually does manage to find the ace. As our first generator does actually pop here, is double backing at the perfect moment, so the nurse did not see them with the fatigue, and we'll just have to force the nurse to choose whether they want to chase the ace or look for the survivor who is trying to get the unhook in this scenario, because I'm quite certain that that generator was doubled. So if that was not the case, then there will be someone coming into the pool right about now, and our ace is kind of just stuck here since, again, Sanctum of Wrath is notoriously a choke point map. So he's kind of stuck there until the nurse leaves, and now he'll be able to rotate out back into safety around the where the generator was just popped. So you can get reset by Claudette most likely, or by the Nia, as our Nancy will just go down quite quickly after this unhook occurs. So what are we looking at? A second stage for Nancy. I believe this is actually a 4-gen setup because of our main building. We have 3 gens in this corner. Also, a main generator, which is not being completed. So 4-gen setup, which our survivors have to tackle while our Nancy's on the hook as well. So it's actually quite quite a quite a difficult task for our survivors to figure out. They still are not reset at all. So I would assume that the Ace and the Claudette are resetting each other at this very moment because they cannot afford to be working generators, which is outside of this 4-gen setup here. Because if they did manage to lose our survivor and even pop that far generator in the corner, they would still have to deal with this quite vicious 4-gen plus this other generator here, which actually would make it a 5-gen setup in this side of the map. So they did if they did just end up doubling that generator, they'd be in a lot of trouble. And I think our nurse, oh, I was going to say our nurse would be able to keep the win condition at a 4K2 and even be able to achieve a 4K3, which would put them into a winning position. So tied up 1-1 if that were the case. But our Nancy does manage to juke this second blink here, which will allow her to make the edge map, which actually then the no gens. Oh my gosh! And there's a second blink tap there. So there we go. There's an anti dead right now. So it's actually I was gonna say somewhat rough for the survivors, but oh my gosh, the gen progress, they're actually flying because we saw the generator that the Neo was on, which is just on 80%, and another generator which the Claudette was on, which is on around well even higher 90%. So we'll just be looking at two generators down. So it's actually a tie condition met. So a very risky play from the survivors working out. Oh, and a bit of an unfortunate spectator bug. We did see Cool. So you did see Nia's gen just pop right there, and our ace had to leave the gen, which was on 80%. So actually, I was gonna say that before them not resetting was not really a great idea, but with all the generators progress that has been achieved from the survivor, all those percentages add up, even through the ruin. This is a quite a precarious situation for our nerds to be in, and it does seem like our 4-gen has been completely broken. Actually, wait, hold on. Let me assess the situation. Nope, the 4-gen is still intact indeed. So this will be a 4-gen which the survivors have to tackle while getting the reset, which does occur onto Claudette, I believe. But we did see that generator was on around 80% before Ace had to leave. So it does mean that it is possible for the survivors to sneak in and get the generator done while the nurse is preoccupied doing something else, which I'm not sure if it's the case because we don't really have information on everybody here. And our nurse just will be playing this slow, allowing the ruin to eat away at the generator progress if there was any available generators to be regressed at this current moment. But they'll just be looking to, again, holding the choke point, which is a common strategy on these bottleneck maps. Holding the choke point, looking for rotations. Uh, you can kind of let the ace health state go since it's not the chase. If they were to chase the ace, would not be in the 4-gen setup. So it's probably not a chase that you'd want to be taking all the time. As again, we do find the Nia in the 4-gen setup. This is why the Ace's reset there was not really a priority for them. Because finding the Nia in the 4-gen is an even bigger deal. But actually, our nurse does not decide to commit to Nia. I'm not entirely sure why, because the Nia was in a bit of a bad spot there. Even though they managed to miss two blinks onto them, they just left, and I don't think this is the correct play. But again, Ruin is eating away at the gens, so at least there's some compensation there. We do see the gen now is around 60% progress. Again, being eaten away by the Ruin is a big deal. But as the survivors, we'll be trying to reset Nia yet again and trying to rotate back into the 4-gen setup to try and tackle the problem of how do I get the last gen done as a team. And we do see sparks. We do see the sparks start flying off and the explosion happen, which does mean that the ruin is applied. Ace is around here, presumably with the spin burst, but I'm not entirely sure because he does manage to very very closely avoid that tag there, which is a really big deal because any health state. Any health state that you avoid and a swing that you avoid from a nest will give you a lot of extra time to make any part of the map that you want to run to. But um, Nurse does unfortunately miss the second blink there, underestimating the distance of the pallet. Sorry, distance of the height of the main building. So will fail the second blink, but does take a tag onto Claudette as well. But oh my gosh, this is actually the main building generator. Seeing some progress here. So our nurse is starting to get sandwiched between these two generators, one being in this corner and one being on the main building. See how Ace walking here, presumably. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna say presumably spin burst, but just getting completely auto aimed and robbed of the hit, in my opinion. But actually, this is good for the killer now because that was a one blink attack on our nurse. So it will mean that the next blink chain will be extremely short. But again, missing these blinks, it's just I don't know what's going on. Maybe our nurse player is just taking this a bit hesitant, and hesitant enough was the nurse for our survivors to pop the main building generator, which is presumably double. So this will actually be the 2-0 win from the Malevolent over Genesis because of that generator popping and them meeting the win condition for the survivors. Um, yeah, and so right now they'll probably be playing for the best result possible, seeing if they can try and get the last generator done. But it will be quite difficult to do so since our ace is hooked in that 3 generator setup. And even though they do reset here, I think there's not really much more to this game than to let ace or try and get ace off the hook and also try and get a gen done. But again, with all these perks available that the nurse has, which by the way is exactly the same build, since in our league we're allowed to pick the perks before the match is played, but not before the entire set is played. So you can pick exactly the same build that is just being played against you from the other team's killer. So you do see exactly the same perks chosen by Genesis Kill. I notice now just holding the blink, knowing that there's an injured survivor around there, and probably the other survivor is, yep, exactly, on the other side of the map, trying to rotate in to try and either get the pull or work the generator. And it seems like they're working the generator, which I think is a good play because it would immediately force a response from the nurse. Whereas Claudette, although they're just standing there, they're not doing anything. So if the Nia is doing the generator and if you just stand there, it should just pop the generator. So the Claudette, of course, would just rotate in as soon as the nurse commits. And oh my gosh, getting a max second blink on the ACR means he immediately goes down. And I don't think the generator on the edge map will be able to get popped for this because it was not on high enough progress, I believe, for it to be completed. Let's see if that's the case, because the nurse, of course, will be heading back there immediately. Oh my gosh, they're doubling it. I think they're trying to get it done. And the nurse missing the blink there, but yeah, that means that both survivors will be able to get out alive. But I don't think they'll be able to get stages out, unfortunately. However, this is actually what I believe would have been a 4K2 result, which has turned into a 4K0 result. So really well done by the Malevolent survivors to pull off an extra 2 generators. 2 generators is actually an extremely large amount of these of generate. Like it's a lot. It's a lot better performance than a 4K2. But however, they've already taken the win after that third generator is popped. Since actually no, they're taking the tie and then they're taking the win after the fourth one was popped, which is when I believe it was yeah. It's when our Nancy died. That's when the generator popped. So unfortunately, Claudette does go down as the final chase of the game, but a 4K0 result achieved by our survivors will mean that Malevolent walks away with a 2-0 victory over Genesis. So they'll be progressing into our next league's bracket. And let's see if Nia's found, which is the case. Yeah, Nia's found and picked as well. And actually, one of them could possibly be Deliverance, but I'm not sure if there's, again, much play to be made. Even though a Deliverance spin burst is possible, the shack is, again, on the other side of the map, similar to before. So, not really a lot of distance having to be made to get to the hatch, but I don't think it'll be possible. Nia is doing a few hook gymnastics as well, so I wouldn't be surprised if she is our Deliverance player. But even if that were the case, Malevolent survivors will be taking the victory on the nurse set, which would mean, again, a 2-0 for Malevolent over Genesis.